BBA 104 Indian Ethos and Business Ethics, Unit 5 Gun Theory and Theory of Sanskaras. Before we start with the unit, let's get an introduction about what is Gun. Gun is Sanskrit word which translates as quality, peculiarity, attribute or tendency. In Yoga and Ayurveda, a gun is a tattva or element of reality that can affect our psychological, emotional and energetic states. The three guns were created as an essential component of Sankhya philosophy, but the guns are now a major concept in most schools of Indian philosophy. The three guns are described as being constantly in flux and interacting with one another in a playful state referred to as Maya or illusion. The patterns of the interplay of the guns can define the essential qualities of someone or something, and these patterns can highly influence the path and progress of life. For yoga practitioners, awareness of the guns provides like a GPS to allow us to make choices to be more balanced, peaceful, and harmonious, both on and off our mat. Cultivating the ability to identify and understand the nature of the guns bring us closer to seeing the universal truth of oneness. Now let's understand what are the three guns: tamas, rajas, and sattva. All the three guns are always present in all beings and objects surrounding us, but vary in their relative amounts. We humans have the unique ability to consciously alter the levels of the guns in our bodies and mind. Sorry. The guns cannot be separated or removed in oneself, but can be consciously acted upon to encourage their increase or decrease. A gun can be increased or decreased through the interaction and influence of external objects, lifestyle, practices, and thoughts. The first gun, tamas, is a state of darkness, inertia, inactivity, and materiality. Tamas manifests from ignorance and deludes all beings from their spiritual truth. Other tamasic qualities are laziness, disgust, attachment, depression, helplessness, doubt, guilt, shame, boredom, addiction, hurt, sadness, apathy, confusion, grief, dependency, ignorance. Tamas is a gun which is not necessarily considered as a positive gun in a person, but none of us are devoid of it. It exists in all of us in some quantity or other, which this theory talks about. That all of us have certain qualities, certain guns, or certain skills, but the varies in the quantity of them. We all the three guns exist in all of us, but repeating it again, that it can vary in the quantity in every person. Rajas is a state of energy, action, change, and movement. The nature of Rajas is of attraction, longing, and attachment. And Rajas strongly bind us to the fruits of our work. Other Rasic qualities are anger, euphoria, anxiety, fear, irritation, worry, restlessness, stress, courage, rumination, determination, and chaos. So, people who are constantly active, constantly want to engage in something or other, which includes physical movement, mental stimulation, and all of these things, are higher on their Rajasic skills. Sattva. Sattva is a state of harmony, balance, joy, and intelligence. Sattva is the gun that yogis achieve towards as it reduces the Rajasic and Tamas and thus makes liberation possible. Other sattvic qualities are delight, happiness, peace, wellness, freedom, love, compassion, equanimity, empathy, friendliness, focus, self control, satisfaction, trust, fulfillment, calmness, bliss, cheerfulness, gratitude, fearlessness, and selflessness. Clearly, these are the feelings that everybody wants to experience or qualities everybody wants to possess. And they do exist within us. But situations, our external environments make us change the state of our being in terms of these gunas as per our response. And our response are directed by these gunas. So it's like a vicious circle. Whichever gunas we have, we respond according to it. The response triggers a certain reaction, and that leads to a up or down of the gunas within us. All of us would want to achieve the sattvic state, but that is something which requires yoga, meditation, self introspection, clearing your mind, and that peace, which does not come easily because it is a work of patience, knowledge gathering, and absorbing things from your environment. Tamas and Rajasic state is visibly found in people around us, and so is Sattvic, but not in the larger majority that we operate with. Let's compare the three guns, the Rajas, Sattva, Tamas. Rajas is predominantly activity driven, Sattva by truth and goodness, and Tamas by inertia and inactivity. People higher on Rajasic gun are passionate, they have desires and attachment. Sattvic people are light, harmonious, and there is balance. As we have learned in the previous units, that attachment is not necessarily a feeling that will help us grow in an organization, because you have to feel dedicated more than being attached. Tamas is driven by darkness, delusion, and ignorance. In Rajasic people, there is a presence of energy. In Sattvic, they have a spiritual essence. And Tamas, there is heaviness within the people. Rajas, they have expansion. They will have more worldly possessions. In Sattva, there is an upward flow, which is your inner growth and development. And in Tamas, you have a downward flow because you are stuck in a turmoil of majority negative feelings. In Rajas, you experience movement. In Sattva, you experience intelligence and consciousness, that is, understanding the divinity within you and around you. And in Tamas, you are considered more dull and a sloth. Rajas is bound by the means of passion and craving. That is why people with high on this gun are having more materialistic possessions, because they want to grow in the terms of things they own. Sattvic is bound by means of attachment of knowledge and joy, attachment to knowledge and joy, because they want to learn, they want to have self growth and evolution in their personalities. Tamas is bound by means of ignorance and obstruction. You are in a state where you believe that you don't want to achieve more, you already have enough, and there is nothing left for you to learn and seek. How do we work with these guns? The mind's psychological qualities are highly unstable and can quickly fluctuate between the different guns. The predominant gun of the mind acts as a lens that affects our perception and perspective of the world around us. As I mentioned previously in a slide, that we have coexistence of all the gunas within us. It is our coherent learning over a period of time that one becomes a predominant gun. That some people seek happiness in life, some people seek materialistic gains in life, and some people seek uh, comfort or activities which do not involve high investment in terms of physical and mental activities. So all of the guns do exist, but then it is our coherent learning that makes one predominant. Whichever becomes predominant, we start looking at other people with the same lens. We start believing that the other person also has the same set of gunas within them, which might not be true. But if you are a sattvic dominant gun person, you might be high on empathy and might treat the other person like that. But let's assume that you are the tamasic gun is predominant in you. You might start judging people with a lens which might not be true to them. So it is all about your perception and perspective grow according to your inner gun. Thus, if the mind is in Rajas, it will experience world events as chaotic, confusing, demanding. It will have a strong tendency to continue to event in a Rajasic way. Therefore, for yogis to make progress along the path, we must practice self observation and discernment to witness and not to reach to the activity of the gunas. We must also have the inner strength and willpower to consciously shift our thoughts and actions away from the tamas and rajas towards sattvic balance and purpose. This should be a core idea of growth, that I want my sattvic guns to increase and become predominant and driven by that gun. To reduce the tamas, avoid tamasic food, oversleeping, overeating, inactivity, passivity, and fearful situations. Tamasic foods include heavy meats and foods that are spoiled, chemically treated, and processed or refined. To reduce rajas, avoid rajasic food, over exercising, overwork, loud music, excessive thinking, and consuming excessive material goods. Rajasic foods include fried food, spicy food, and stimulants. To increase sattva, reduce both rajas and tamas. Eat sattvic food. Enjoy activities and environment that produce joy and positive thoughts. Sattvic foods include whole grains, legumes, and fresh fruits and vegetables that grow above the ground. All of the yogic practices were developed to create sattva in the mind and body. Thus, practicing yoga and leading a yogic lifestyle strongly cultivates sattva. All guns create attachment and thus bind oneself to the ego. When one rises above the three guns that originate in the body, one is freed from birth, old age, disease, and death and attains enlightenment, as quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. While the yogi's goal is to cultivate sattva, his or her ultimate goal is to transcend their misidentification of the self with gunas and to be unattached to both the good and the bad, the positive and the negative qualities of life. So, the purpose of us, our life, of not us, our lives was to attain sattva. And after attaining sattva, attaining moksha. So the other guns will never be removed from us, because if they do, there will be no drive for the growth in the world that we see. If all of us would have turned sattvic in nature, would we have seen the kind of technological growth that we do now? Maybe not. Would we have seen the wonders that man has created over the period of time? Maybe not. So there has to be a balance struck between the three, otherwise there will be a problem in how we operate in this world. We look at the tamasic gun as the worst of the category and we over glorify people with rajasic gun. But here what we've learned is that even people who are over exercising, overworking, work addicts, listening to loud music, are overthinking, they might seem as a very good employee to you, but at the end, that is not the kind of balance you are supposed to strike. You will overwork yourself, you will burn out yourself for a period of time, but that is again not evolving you, your mind, and your body. It is not leading you towards your end goal of moksha. And thus, the Rajasic guns should also be executed in a balance with the Sattvic good. Being energetic is good, but in a balance. Working hard is good, but in a balance. As we've learned in the previous slides, that work-life balance is a philosophy Indian ethos has been teaching over centuries now. They say that when you are from the age group of 25 to 50, you have to give time to your personal responsibilities, your relationships. So if you're overworking, you're showing your enthusiasm, you're being appreciated, but again, that is taking you farther away from your goal of moksha, because you are still not at the sattvic state. So there has to be a balance. And how can we achieve the balance? By meditating, by cleansing our mind, cleansing our souls, cleansing our thoughts. How do gunas influence us? The three guns affect us deeply. They affect our thought, actions, habits, and characters. We as human beings can consciously change the levels of the guns in our body and mind by altering the presence and influence of external objects, lifestyle, and thoughts. We can increase or decrease the guns. Whichever gun is predominantly will affect how we perceive the world around us. It will affect behavior, attitude, actions, attachments, and so on. For example, a predominantly tamasic person will see everything as negative and destructive. A person who is sattvic, on the other hand, will perceive the universe as positive and will find joy and happiness in everything. However, the mind is very unstable and can fluctuate very easily from one predominant gun to the another. Now let's talk about sanskar. Dharma preaches that the purpose of human birth is God realization. The religious scriptures therefore impart guidance on how to undertake spiritual practice so as to be able to get closer to God in every incident of life right from birth till death. The word sanskar is formed by prefixing the preposition sam, denoting balance, to the verb kru and suffixing gyan to it. It has multiple meanings such as to improve, to purify, to remove shortcomings in an object, and to endow a new attractive form to it. In short, the process by which positive qualities in man are developed and enhanced is known as a sanskar. Sanskar should be performed to get closer to God in the 16 rituals in life from conception to marriage. These sanskar later help in improving spiritual practice. Sanskar is a process of increasing the potential in ourselves. So, what does sanskar basically mean? Sanskar talks about how we lead our life from one stage to another. There are 16 rituals that have been outlined for us and to be performed over a period of time to ensure that we realize our duties and responsibility at the age which it is performed. What we are supposed to do then, what is our dharma then, and what is our karma at that point of time. That is what sanskar guide us to do. Sanskar is a Sanskrit word which means to improve, purify, refine, and to become perfect. The theory of sanskar in Indian philosophy establishes the link between the theory of gunas and the doctrine of karma, which are two shares of human personalities. The sanskar plays an important role in the development of human character. With better quality, sanskars more wholesome behavior should follow, and for the sanskar gun should be reinforced. The sanskars can be good or bad. When you're performing a particular ritual, when you're born, all of those are your sanskars. And whichever sanskar is the way it is performed, in that particular way, that gun becomes predominant in your own personalities. The sanskar can be divided as per the nomenclature of Indian life stages, this life stages system. There are 4 stages of life or ashrams: brahmacharya up to 25 years of age, grihast from 26 to 50 years of age, vanprasth from 51 to 75 years of age, and sannyas from 76 years of age. Let's look at the 16 sanskar that have been outlined for a person to live their life. First, Garbhadhan sanskar, Punsavan sanskar, Simantanonayan sanskar, Jatkarna sanskar, Namkaran sanskar, Nishkarman sanskar, Annaprashan sanskar, Mundan sanskar, Vidya Arambh sanskar, Karnaveda sanskar, Yagyopavit sanskar, Veda Arambh sanskar, Keshant sanskar, Samavartan sanskar, Vivha sanskar, Antyeshti sanskar. Let's understand what each one of them means. First, Garbhadhan sanskar, the conception of fetus. Pansavan sanskar, performed in the 3rd month of pregnancy. Simantonayan sanskar, performed in the 6 months of pregnancy. Jatkarma sanskar, on the birth of child to bring good virtues. Namkaran sanskar, on the 11th day after birth. Nishkraman sanskar, at 4 months of age the child is shown sun and moon. Annaprashan sanskar, at the age of 6 months. Mundan sanskar, at 3 years of age. Karnaveda sanskar, at 3 years of age. Upnayan sanskar, at 5 years of age. Vedarvam sanskar, beginning of brahmacharya life. Samvartana sanskar, beginning of study. Vivha sanskar, beginning of grihastha life. Vanaprastha sanskar, living a simple life. Sannyas sanskar, living like sages. And Antyeshti sanskar, on death or the Antim sanskar. Sanskars are essential from birth to death. Human life begins with conception. With birth, human being comes into the world. Customs begin with this phase. With education, merits are taught. In this journey, education also plays a very important role in development and evolution of humanity. These are concepts which have guided different philosophies. Yoga also says that one must learn to educate the human mind. Is the education for the mind? What are learned today in the school through academic studies as intellectual concepts. Sanskars are the impressions, psychological conditions. We receive sanskar from our environment, our culture, our society, our family, and our lifestyle. With this, we come to the end of sanskar theory and guna theory. They both go hand in hand with each other. How you perform your sanskars, or what you're taught at that stage in your life, or how the rituals are performed, actively impact the predominant existence of the gun within your personality. Hope you understand all of this, and with this, we'll move on to the next unit. Thank you.